Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the June 6th River Falls Planning Commission meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Angie, can I have a roll call, please?
Holtkamp, LaRue, here. Moody, Odine,
Here.
Prendergast, here. Thank you.
Okay, next we have approval of the minutes from the May 2nd Planning Commission meeting.
I move to approve the minutes for the May 2nd Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
First, second, any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll move on to public comments. If there's anybody on it that has anything like to say, now would be the time. Yeah, come on up. If you want to just, there should be a piece of paper you can sign into, your name and address.
I'm Phil Larson. I have a place, says Lori Larson Real Estate across from Walgreens. And I was interested in the sign changes that you're proposing. And I gotta say, from my perspective, this is good. I mean, we're coming along really, really good. The only thing I noticed was the number 11 of on the changes there into the zone, the times that the things can switch. And I understand we don't want flashing. That makes perfect sense to me. And you don't want things going, distraction of drivers and all that kind of jazz. But making it be 1 minute to switch is hard as a business owner to make that work, because like the default that comes with the signs is 8 seconds is when so you have to change it to a longer to do a minute, which you can, but it's difficult because the little signs we have, the 45% of 60 feet, 45 feet have, which is roughly 5 by 8. With text, big enough to see from the setbacks on the road, it really gives you about 4 words per line, 2 to 3 lines. So it's kind of like Twitter. You got 144 characters to do this. And if we had that were, like in my instance, there was a stoplight there where cars sit. And if it was to switch, like in 8 seconds, I could kind of have a follow-up to it, like blah, 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 information about my business, and then call, phone number, or visit website, that kind of thing that just makes it so much more functional. And I can't imagine what the impact is that would make 1 minute or 8 seconds any different. I mean, as far as from a traffic flow or a distraction, people today, 8 seconds is about as long as you're going to look at any kind of a thing, as you're driving. It's still an enormous amount of time as far as the person sitting in their car. So I think the 8 seconds would be more user-friendly, and then you don't have to go in and change, because every sign program I've looked at, the default is 8 seconds. So we really don't have to go in and every single one you do, go into the settings and find that, and it's a little known thing way down at the bottom there that it's a little bit of a pain. So if we just went with the 8 seconds, which is kind of the industry standard, to me that would just make sense. Thanks.
Anybody else? Nope.
Good evening. My name is Dave Curtin, and I'm with Lamar Advertising. We have a couple of billboards in the city too. I guess first I wanted to say thanks for doing this. I know there's a lot of work that goes into something like this, changing an ordinance, and I appreciate it. Looking through this, I was able to get a bunch of my questions answered earlier, but I did want to say that the final section in 16, there's kind of a non-starter for us that should really be addressed, and it's in order to convert or construct this modern digital billboard, we basically have to take down one, and that we have 2 in the city, and we wouldn't be open to that. So I guess that's just one thing I wanted to bring up. The rest of the stuff just kind of all makes sense and is easily worked through, but that's kind of that'd be a non-starter for us. So
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate your time.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, move on to ordinance resolutions. First one is the final plat for Oak Hills, South Apollo Road near West Maple Street for TEG Land Holdings LLC. Sam's gonna give us a little, Sam Burns is one of our planners, he's gonna give us a little presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Plan Commissioners. My name is Sam Burns. I'm a planner with the City of River Falls. I'll be presenting on the first phase of the Oak Hill development. The applicant is seeking approval of a final plat. So the final plat submitted is for the Oak Hills development just west of Apollo Road. The development is part of the recently annexed Wells property. The first phase of the Oak Hill development will create 45 lots, with 29 being single-family homes and 16 twin homes. It will also include the partial construction of Gamble Street and Chestnut Street and the entirety of Compton Avenue. So here you have partial Chestnut, partial Gamble, and all of Compton Avenue. The first phase of street construction is shown in the final plat. In addition to the home lots, 10 outlots will be platted, 7 will be dedicated to the city for stormwater management, and a future publicly accessible trailhead. An additional 2 will be for future phases of the subdivision, and the final will be for open space deeded to the neighborhood HOA. When considering final plat approval, municipal code requires final plats to be evaluated upon the following conditions. City staff have examined each of the following conditions and found there to be no concerns. Staff analysis on each of the conditions can be found in the meeting packet. The final plat will next be reviewed during the June 27th City Council meeting. Staff recommends the forwarding of the enclosed resolution approving the final plat to City Council with a favorable recommendation. I'll turn the meeting back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Sam. I'll take a motion on this first.
I move approval of the final plat for Oak Hill.
Second.
Okay, questions, comments?
What is the timeline, like, for the phase 1 and then for the full project?
Yeah, so the first phase is still looking to start construction this year, I believe, and then they'll continue moving forward, submitting the final plat, or the final plats respectively for phases 2 and 3, ideally for next year, but also as market conditions allow and permit.
I just have a comment where I appreciate that apartments are important to a large segment, but I like it when we have the single-family lots and twin homes coming in, because those are people who I think more likely than not are willing to settle down and become part of our community.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then number 3 is a specific implementation plan and final plat for South Pointe, first edition. This is on Steelhead Drive and Aurora Circle, northwest of Highway 29 and County Highway FF. And this is GMTZ LLC. And Sam will give us another presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. South Pointe First Edition is a 29-unit twin and single-family home development. The applicant is seeking approval on an application for a specific implementation plan and a final plat concurrently. The SIP is the final step for development review for a planned unit development, or PUD, and includes detailed architectural, engineering, landscaping, and stormwater plans. City Council voted to approve the general development plan on April 4th, 2022. So as stated, the location is just west of 35 on Steelhead Drive and Aurora Circle. The applicant is proposing the development on the existing Steelhead, which is directly north of Comforts of Home. South Pointe First Edition is a continuation of a current housing development that has been completed in phases over the past 10 years. Phase 1 is to be composed of 4 twin homes and 25 single-family homes. The applicant is showing a variety of unit types for both the single-family and twin homes. 1 twin home unit and 1 single-family unit type can be seen above. So on this site plan, you can see the continuation of Steelhead Drive to the east and south to connect to Aurora Circle. You can also see how the 4 twin homes will be arranged in the development. While this site plan only shows 17 single-family homes, the remaining 8 to make 25 total will be built in this phase in the lots north of Steelhead Drive. In addition to the 29 lots platted, the final plat shows a 1.6 acre outlot in the north of the development, which will be dedicated to the public. This addition will also include the continuation of the aforementioned Steelhead Drive. Municipal code requires final plats to be evaluated upon the following conditions. The listed conditions, city staff have examined each of the following conditions and found there to be no concerns. Staff analysis on each of the conditions can be found in the meeting packet. The final plat and the specific implementation plan will next be reviewed during the June 27th City Council meeting. Staff recommends the forwarding of the enclosed resolution approving the SIP and the final plat to City Council with a favorable recommendation. Turn the meeting back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I'll take a motion on this first.
I move we approve the specific implementation plan and final plat for South Pointe First Edition.
Second.
Okay, first and second, questions, comments?
The 1.6 acre outlot, is there going to be parkland with this development?
Yeah, so during the general development plan that was approved last year,
Yeah.
it was dedicated as conservancy. So because of the slope and nature of the site, it's not suitable for active use, in the form of ball fields or something specifically.
Okay. So what's the closest park to these people?
So I believe, Spring, yeah, I believe so. But then there's also some outlots included as part of the other phases of the South Pointe development. Emily, correct me if I'm wrong. There's potential for the steep slopes on the 1.6 acres to be used as part of the green corridors. That was part of the the comprehensive plan and the outdoor recreation plan. And so what you'd see would be more passive uses in the way of trails.
So there's going to be trails?
Well, in the short term, it's not planned for, but it's consistent with the city's overall plans of connecting those steep slopes, and it would be land that we could then, go ahead and build trails on. But it is not part of this phase of development.
Okay, we have to let them get in to get it done. So, okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. Is this the last of the build out for South Pointe?
That's correct, yeah.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next one is a zoning ordinance text amendment regarding electronic signs, amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.44, 17.68, 17.84, and 17.116. And Emily Shively's got a little presentation for us on this, Emily.
Thank you, Mayor and Plan Commissioners. I'm Emily Shively, the Assistant Director of Community Development. And the next item is this proposed ordinance amendment for the sign code related to electronic signs. So this amendment originated as a response to requests from 3 different areas. Existing businesses who are currently allowed to have electronic signs, but they want to utilize more of the technology available. Non-residential uses in residential districts such as churches that had also wanted electronic signs, where that's currently not allowed. And then the request from the owner of the billboards on Highway 35 near Whitetail Ridge Corporate Park to convert the billboards to digital signs. So when considering a change to the ordinance, it's beneficial to be reminded of sort of the purpose and goals of the regulations. Here's the purpose statement from the sign code. Essentially, the regulations are intended to ensure public safety and also to recognize that character and aesthetics matter. So in April, Mark Roffers of MD Roffers Consulting facilitated a conversation with Plan Commission about potential changes to the sign code in response to the requests that have been received. The Commission considered whether to keep the current regulations as they are with no changes, make some changes but take a more limited approach, or greatly expand what is allowed related to electronic signs. The outcome of the discussion was that generally, Plan Commission was open to modernizing the code to allow for the greater use of technology, allowing electronic signs in more locations, and providing a pathway for the conversion of billboards to electronic signs. So the commission also emphasized that the context of the sign is important and good design is also necessary. There was a general openness to changing the code provided that appropriate performance standards were set. So tonight we have a draft ordinance amendment that was intended to accomplish that direction. The amendment does allow digital billboards via special use permit in industrial districts, updates definitions in the sign code, and rewrites the performance standards for electronic signs. Many of the existing regulations are carried forward. However, the amendment expands the locations where electronic signs are allowed, allows full color, but only as a static message display, sets different standards for electronic signs outside of business districts, specifies that electronic signs may only be part of a monument sign and not wall-mounted, modifies the display duration to allow for greater turnover of messages than is currently allowed, and ensures that signs adjust brightness based on ambient light conditions, and then finally sets specific standards for digital billboards. So in summary, staff in collaboration with Mark Rothfuss have provided a draft ordinance amendment intended to reflect the direction set by Plan Commission at the April meeting. And so staff is recommending that the Plan Commission forward the proposed ordinance amendment to council with a favorable recommendation. And I will now turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thanks, Emily. So I'll take a motion on this first.
I will move approval of the ordinance amending Title 17 zoning related to electronic reader board signs.
Second.
Okay, questions, comments?
I did notice the provision for electronic billboards not any closer than a mile from another electronic billboard. I was wondering where that, if you're aware of any other places that have similar restriction.
Yes, this is something that occurs in other communities, and the intent is to allow for this type of advertising, but also to preserve some of the aesthetics and character of a community, to kind of strike a balance between allowing the advertising, but not so much that it becomes the thing that you're looking at instead of experiencing the greater context that you're traveling through.
Okay, anything else?
I would just say as you get closer into town, you have more and more pedestrians. And my fear would be that if we were doing it more quickly, someone would be sitting there watching the sign, waiting to see the next thing and not seeing someone crossing the road. So although I appreciate what was said earlier by Phil, I don't think an 8-second turnover time would be a good idea.
Well, this is, my point, my perspective is, I'm sure there will be debate and comment in front of City Council. And this is also an ordinance that can be easily amended if the initial draft doesn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah, I kind of agree along those lines. I think it's a good start. It's definitely a big leap forward for us on electronic signs, and I think it's a good place to start. And yes, this is something that we can easily amend as we go along, but I think it's a good place to start as we move along this road. So I appreciate the work you put into it. Yeah. So any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to Emily. Stay up there and give us a planning update.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. The exciting thing is Man Valley. So at our last Plan Commission meeting, you reviewed the tax increment district plan for Man Valley. So council approved that at the end of May, along with authorizing the construction of infrastructure, which will include 4.5 miles of water main, 2.5 miles of sanitary sewer, 1 mile of storm sewer, 2 miles of multi-use trail, 3,900 square feet of new roadway or linear feet of new roadway, and 35,000 cubic yards of earthwork. So this is a big project. It's a big deal, and it's something that the city has been working towards for a long time. So just wanted to take a moment to recognize that and celebrate that, and thank the commission for the work that they did last month in reviewing that TID plan for conformance with the comprehensive plan. So then the last thing that I have is that next month, our first Tuesday falls on the 4th of July. So we need to reschedule Plan Commission. And so if Thursday the 6th works for folks, that's what we will do. And then at that meeting, we will be furthering implementation of the Man Valley Vision. We are going to be looking at the final plat, which will create the lots and outlots and road right-of-way and stormwater for the Man Valley Corporate Park, and also looking at new zoning district standards specific to realizing the vision of that corporate park. That's my update.
Anybody have any questions for Emily?
Is it too late for me to make a comment about Glen Park being 125 years?
No, go ahead.
As part of the park board, the Glen Park is celebrating its 105th, I don't know if you call it a birthday, but creation day, and we're looking for so many helpers and volunteers to help make this go forward. And one of our big things is we're going to sing happy birthday in the park. So everyone keep your eyes open for those news briefs and Facebooks and stuff.
Okay.
Move to adjourn?
First and second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.